The original Unravel was a cute, if mechanically underwhelming indie platformer that was ultimately remembered more for its adorable main character and the awkward charm of its initial E3 reveal. I'd honestly forgotten about it until the sequel's E3 reveal and same-day release, and I'm honestly always excited to see an average game improve with a sequel, so let's take a look at Unravel 2. Unravel 2, much like the original, has you controlling a Yanni exploring memories of humans. Unlike the previous game, however, there are 2 Yanni dolls this time, and the dolls' connections to the humans whose memories you're exploring is way less clear. Your Yannis get thrown off a ship and wash ashore at an abandoned lighthouse where they find portals into memories, and it's just so unnecessary. I found the shadowy manifestations of memories in the original Unravel were able to pull at the heartstrings on occasion, but this time they're far less engaging than the actions happening in the foreground. It lacks any clear connection that gave some context to the similar storytelling method in the previous game. Just seems like a step backwards. Instead of making clear steps to improve the game's narrative, Unravel 2 doesn't really learn anything from the first. It does manage to deliver the same level of quality in its music and level design though. Each level is stunningly detailed and fun to traverse, with plenty of variety between them. One moment you'll be jumping through a moonlit factory, the next you'll be outrunning hazards in a forest at dusk, and each of these 20 to 30 minute chapters is accompanied by a simple, pleasant string arrangement that gives the game a suitably nostalgic feeling. Alongside its impressive visuals and audio, Unravel 2 most importantly manages to improve its core gameplay. Jumping, climbing and swinging feels much more quick and responsive, and from what I can recall, wall jumping is entirely new to the series, and it's a very welcome addition. The yarn mechanics, i.e. making bridges and trampolines to push objects across gaps or jump higher, still work pretty well, but the game's biggest new addition, its cooperative multiplayer, actually adds a significant amount to the base mechanics. Where Unravel based its puzzle platforming on the idea that you only had so much yarn to work with when swinging and tying knots, Unravel 2's big focus is that your yarn tethers you and the second Yanni together, so you'll always have enough yarn to continue, but you can only move so far away from your partner. Playing this as a single player works well enough, as you can just join the 2 characters together when cooperation is unnecessary, but playing with a friend is where Unravel 2 shines most. Using a second player as a tethering point for swinging and climbing requires communication and coordination, and some of the more difficult puzzles will push your timing and teamwork to the limit. Some puzzles will require perfectly synchronized jumps, simultaneous operation of different environmental elements, or even using one player to bait enemies so the other player can proceed. It's not even a huge problem if your co-op partner just isn't as experienced with platforming as you are, as the more skill-focused challenges can usually be bypassed by simply climbing up to your character via the tether between you. It's a feature that I was incredibly happy to see included because while the game isn't super difficult, the platforming does get some room to increase the difficulty in later stages and provides a solid challenge throughout. Honestly, it was refreshing to have a puzzle platformer that not only challenged my platforming ability but also my puzzle solving skills. They often get too hung up on polishing one aspect over the other. Unravel 2 manages to throw some really engaging puzzles into the mix, and the fact that they almost always require 2 active participants to complete them is awesome. Unravel 2's co-op just doesn't feel like it's been tacked on, it feels like the core concept of the game, and rightfully so. It fits perfectly with the game's core message, that the bonds between us are not meant to hold us back, but are here to help us move forward. If only the game's narrative wasn't so unnecessarily ambiguous about it. Beyond the so-so narrative, Unravel 2 does feature a number of challenges and collectibles to extend the gameplay, which is very much appreciated, as the core chapters only take about 3 or 4 hours or so to complete. If you're looking for a more difficult challenge, these optional zones will be exactly what you're looking for. With that said, Unravel 2 is good. The game is as charming as its predecessor, with a warming overall message and engaging world to bounce and swing around in, except this time the platforming actually feels like a significant part of what makes the game memorable. Its narrative takes a bit of a dive thanks to an unexpected setup and vague delivery, but Unravel 2 is certainly a net improvement over the first game. I definitely recommend it for fans of the first game and anyone looking for a solid co-op platformer.